Hi, I am Sadri from ACM UET. We are again here with another wonderful session, and today we are going to talk about cloud computing, how we can start cloud computing, how we can get into it as a beginner, what are the career opportunities in that, along with the career guidance as well. And to talk on this, we have Mr. Khalid Hussain, who is the founder of Microtex, and he's also a Microsoft alumni. Do watch the video till the end, and if you really like the video, don't forget to give the huge thumbs up because it really motivates us to make more videos for you. Now without further ado, let's get into it.
So thank you all of you, and let's start. And my name is Khalid Hussain, and some people knows me in past years. I am a founder of Microtex, that is a platform for multi-cloud enablement and consulting. And apart from that, I am principal solution architect and working in different technology stacks like in Google, in Microsoft, and Amazon. So I am working, my specialty is in more in cloud infrastructure and cybersecurity, information protection, governance tracks. But in general, I'm looking after and working in a very big spectrum to build the business and technical strategies for organizations, how they can move on with digital transformation and how they can achieve outcome, business outcome, and with their investments, with their goals. So yeah, that's my introduction. If you guys like to follow me on, let's say on social media platforms, I Khalid Hussain, my handle is available everywhere in Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and that's me. So let me start my career path journey that was requested by organizers, especially Kinza Kamal. She's my student in past programs. So I would like to share my journey, that how I started my career and how I grew up in the different phases and what would be my roadmap, let's say, how I am transforming myself. So I would say that I would start from here, that I started my career into the IT back in 2005 as an IT technician, ICT technician. You can say I was working with more in hardware technologies, software, like just, compute, CPUs, RAMs, these kind of stuff I was doing as ICT technician back in 2005. And then I worked more into the computing side. I moved into the ICT support engineer through deployment of the servers and networking and cables, purely more in the hardwares, not in just computing background or something like that. I was working more in traditional legacy equipments. So in the third step, I feel that in 2000, after the 2010, that there must be something coming, because I was connected with different stakeholders, different business leaders, technology leaders in Pakistan, in industry, and plus over the social media are, different communities. TechNet especially, I was following there also. It's a Microsoft platform. So I took the twist there, that I took the break from my career due to some reasons, and I transformed myself completely into tracks of the cloud, because at that time virtualization was big buzz in the industry, with VMware, with Hyper-V, and with Oracle. And that's I learned about, and then I go into the deep dive into, let's say, networking. I did CCNA and CCNP, HCNA, HCNP. I was really good in networking stuff, switches, routers. But my main interest, some guy just told me that, Khalid, would you like to explore Microsoft tracks? I said, definitely, I will try it. When I start learning Microsoft stacks, especially because in Pakistan, we see that, I saw that in the industry, that most of the people, especially in industry, let's say in general, people don't know about Microsoft stack more than Word, Excel, PowerPoint, something like that, or project management. Mostly thinks that is all. Microsoft is doing. But Microsoft is doing way more than that. So I learned lots of stuff. I go into the server infrastructure, and I learned in the meanwhile about Microsoft Exchange Server, because at that time, it's my personal story that who changed my mind towards really go deep dive into security tracks, because some people just send me the phishing emails, and at that time my thinking was that phishing emails are legitimate emails. That was my misunderstanding, Then I start exploring that, okay, how these email services are working. I try to explore different email providers, Gmail and Microsoft Stack. And then it drives me crazy, At first time I deployed Exchange Server email system. It took me around 36 hours continuously, with 1 or 2 hours, 3 hours break. I could not sleep even until I deployed complete topology, tested it with DNS, everything. That was my actually transformation of my career path. So always try to learn it, because in that time I get one advice from one of a leading cybersecurity chief information security officer. I can't name his at this stage, but he advised me, Khalid, if you want to learn something, please go deep dive into that. Look what front end, back end is doing, what are the pros and cons of the product. Don't just learn it like a student, do it like a consultant, as an architect. That might be someday you have to design it. So that changed my complete mindset, and it shifted me towards, deep dive knowledge, and I was trying to exploring backend services. So I joined then FSA sector as a network engineer, because my core skills was routers, switches, routing and connectivity and VPNs connections and hardware deployment. So I worked until 2013 in that track and that direction. But in the meanwhile, I improved my skills, This is my advice, that if you stop learning at any role, at any stage, it will be your disaster. Start from there. Keep in mind, try to explore new things. So I get chance in 2014 as a Microsoft engineer in one leading partner. And at that time, you guys, this information for you guys, that I did my master's from Victoria University in parallel to my work. Before that, I was not having direct IT degree. So I tried to explore myself, everything by own. Just I want to know that how things works, connectivity, topics, And in 2014, I get the real speed of the work, because I get selected as a team lead for HEC project for universities. I hope UET learns that all my projects deployed. Hope you guys are using Office 365 in your universities for the teams, That is a project we initiated. At that time, I was working with the partner side, and I was the technical lead to drive that project with Microsoft and HEC. So I did a lot in that project. And the turning point for me, that where I start feeling the responsibilities, in 2015, mid of the 2015, we are in the process for migrating Lumps University's around 8,000 users from on-premise Exchange infrastructure and Active Directory to cloud. Okay, and suddenly, due to some mishap happens at that partner side company, we are like 5 engineers working on that. I was the most junior at that time in that team. They left the company to another company. They said, Khalid, you can come with us, otherwise you will be in the disaster. I said, no, I have to do it. I will work on this project, and I hope I will complete it successfully. So I stand there. That was a time of courage. I took it, and I did that project. And that project was really good learning for me to step into the cloud. And after that, I did lots of projects with alums with UET, with Agriculture Faisalabad, then ComSets, FC universities, lots of deployments we made. And that time I built the team as well. After doing that project, I was working in the different directions from the Google, Gmail migrations and server infrastructure and security, hardware design. So in 2016, around March or April, I get hired in Microsoft directly as a full-time. So due to my background of the project delivery, because I was working more in architectural and strategy and delivery part, so Microsoft gave me the chance to work with, and I was a part of a NEPA region. Might be some guys knows that. That was the North Africa, Mediterranean region, and Pakistan. That is Morocco, Tunisia, Algeria, Jordan, Lebanon, Pakistan. That was a region I worked with, and I achieved lots of success. And I get tough time in my that role, because I was the only resource who was handling security and enterprise mobility and identity and access management, threat management. So it was really hard time for me, 2 years there. But in the meanwhile, due to the restructuring, Microsoft moved me back to, they offered me a role in Dublin office and headquarters of Microsoft EMEA. So I was moved there, let's say, and I took the charge of South Africa and Dubai Gulf market. And in Gulf market, I was leading there again, financial sector and industries and government sectors, and let's say with the public sector entities and big enterprises, especially telecoms, this sector. So that gives me a really boost in my career, that I learn a lot. So here what I learned, and the key takeout of it, that I learned in this international culture, that listen more, do your research, come up with positive aspect of your learning and your project scoping. Don't just play with fears. Fears will stop you, and positive attitude and passion will give you the more opportunity to learn about. Okay. And after working around 3 years with Microsoft, I left Microsoft. I moved to, again, partner consulting company, partner side in Germany. I get hired here. So I am working here till now as a principal solution architect. And in this role, I am leading actually multi-cloud strategy, cybersecurity, and not only in Germany. I'm working also in Switzerland and in Spain. So I'm covering around whole Europe where my company need my work. So in 2022, I have something more amazing that I will disclose at end of the session. So that was my journey around 15 to 16 years, let's say. So that gives me a really boost in my career, that how I bring up my skills from 0 to architect level, there is a steps. So I hope you guys know about me, what I did in my past career, and what is my suggestion here as I advise in career paths. Might be you saw that most of the careers I take more than 2 years, more than 2 years, let's say 3 years in each role. So don't switch your roles so quickly. Take the time, get hands-on, adjust in your roles. Money is not matters, of course, in the roles, but again, your personal PR, let's say your personal reputation worth a lot, So if you have a stable career path with 2 to 3 years, 5 years gap for switching your roles, people will like your career path and they definitely trust you. And if you switch your career every 6 months, every 1 year, it's gonna be a messy for you in long run, that you cannot get concrete and structured roles. And most of the roles not published by companies through HR, they get hired with personal references and your PR. That matters. Okay. So that was my story and career path. And then I will jump into next level, and that is my learning roadmap. So most of the people ask me that why I left Microsoft. So that is actually my learning roadmap, that I really want to go into multi-cloud strategy, because if you are working with a big organizations, transformation of yourself is important than industrial transformation. If you don't transform yourself, you cannot be relevant to the market. And if you are not relevant to the market, then for market, you are useless. That's clear. Finish. So in 2018, I took the first step that I have to go out of the Microsoft and I have to learn Azure, GCP. Azure I know stuff already because I was part of Microsoft. And I did a professional level architect certifications in other two cloud vendors, and I analyzed that which is the best and what are the possibilities, where are more business is going on, because every customer having different approach, different mindset. So they don't want to go just as Microsoft or Amazon or GCP doing their marketing strategies in social media or through their marketing channels. We have to think differently. What I learned in 2018, that step back, one, don't be a technical, look into different picture, people, process, and technology, that how you are going to work on this, okay? And in 2019, it's a great journey for me and some of my German colleagues. They teach me really project management, deep dive, and they told me that, Khaled, they transform me actually. It's a continuous journey for me, that when you are talking as a developer, as a database engineer, as a DevOps architect, don't talk just technical. Learn about the business processes, that how we can optimize the business processes. So you have to learn about that, how you can deliver the projects, what could be your input, and how you can manage and build your team. It's not just about, in Pakistan, we are just doing the one-man army. Everyone, either boy or girl, they want to put their 100% to do it everything. Don't do it everything. Just do what you can do. So I learned about the business processes and the learning that how I can integrate technology into the business, And in 2020, I jumped more into XDR and SOAR technology, that is topics more advanced security part. There, Microsoft having big strength into Azure Sentinel, Defender for identities, Defender for endpoints, Defender for email security, And then in 2021, I take one step back again to sum up all these technologies, all my learning of my past, let's say 13 to 15 years, into strategy and architecture. I definitely am working from many years with C-levels, but in 2021, that was an amazing year for me, that I took one step back. I start looking at the organizational whole pillar into the big picture, that I can talk to the CEOs and CISOs or CTOs, that how they can design their organizational transformation journey. So that's 2021. And in next 3 years, I always plan myself ahead. I have to grow into the leadership roles, and I have to go more into organizational security, posture management, and auditing of security infrastructure, because in next 10 or 20 years, IoT and operational technology and robotics and AI is a big game changer. But on the top, you have to be really efficient to drive your security and compliance posture management. Otherwise, for your productivity, your tools will get failed. So that was my learning roadmap. So I would say, try to build your own learning roadmap, set up some milestones, and go one by one, year over year. Don't just sit that, okay, you know something and you're doing the same thing for next 3 years, 4 years. No, every year set up your goals and go and hunt that. So that was my story. And I would say in general, I belong to a village that is 70 kilometers from Lahore in direction of Nankana Sahib or Faisalabad, you can say like that. I'm purely self-made person. I grew up with my effort and with bless of Allah. And what I learned from the life, that is a key point, never give up. Pick it up, choose it, and do it. That's it. No one can stop you if you want to do something. That I learned from my life. And think positively. Don't think in direction of fears and failures. I'm still facing some failures. I'm not saying that I'm perfect and everything. No, I'm still that failures teach me the lesson that how to improve yourself in the next day. Okay. So that's all. First phase of this webinar. I hope you guys know about me, that how I'm thinking and where I started, and I'm growing, and I have my own and solid learning roadmap year over year. So yeah, thank you. Any question here, Noreen? If someone having question regarding myself, so I definitely open to answer here, and then we can jump into the next phase.
No, sir, there are no questions. We can move on to the next part.
Okay. So now we jump into transformation of enterprises. So you guys can see my screen clearly?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now we jump into this cloud development or cloud journey session that let's say this is actually our transformation. We have to look into the big picture, that how organizations are working. As I mentioned, in back 2010, there was a hot topic of virtualization to enable your virtualized VMs and web services. You have to deploy databases, clusters, scalability for web services, and we are putting the firewalls on the top. And that was actually traditional model, and still I would say in Pakistan we are using that models, and in some organizations, yes, of course, it's part of continuous journey. You cannot get rid of this because it depends upon the needs. And we have devices and apps in the parallel that we can access those workloads from deployed into your data centers. But in the big picture, you have to look into this direction, that you are going in the big time into the SaaS adoption ways, And in what is actually the SaaS? There is a 3 tiers of cloud infrastructure. Let's say infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. So in software as a service, there is a storage vendors like OneDrive, Gmail, G Drive, let's say Box, whatever you can call it. There are so many vendors out there. They're working. They are building up their storage, and they're putting that on the SaaS layers, and people are using that in the real time. ServiceNow, Salesforce, Dynamics, Oracle, whatever you can call it. And in the meantime, first-class mobile experience. People don't like to work in the offices. They are actually transforming their way of working. They are going beyond your workplace. They are going to work from anywhere. I would say this is the era that people want to do IT from the non-IT environments. Either they are sitting in cinemas, they are sitting in somewhere in, let's say, trains are in the home, but wherever. They don't care about that. And one more thing is that they want to access their data from anywhere, any device, any location, any network. That you can say it's any as a service, And at the meantime, we are big time changing our industrial revolution as well. We are working with IoT, with operational technology and IoT Internet over Things, and we are looking into the third, more two tiers infrastructure as a service. If we have to run the platform as a service also, so we have compute services in the parallel. So that is actually the big picture. That is a modern enterprise parameters that cloud technology is enabling you to go into the big picture, not just to connect and go into, let's say, into the PTCL data center or PITB data center and work there when you are in the office. No, people like to work from anywhere, anytime, collaborative way, securely. Access should be available anywhere, any ISP provider. So that is actually the transformation of careers, especially careers means roles of responsibility of the organization. Either you are a developer, either you are a database administrator, either you are IT pro, either you are AI expert. You have to look into the big picture, that how cloud is transforming your way of working, way of life, way of thinking, and way of employee experience. I have to add here one thing, that you cannot enforce technology on your employees. Help them to grow better, make good use cases so they can start using it. Because as I see that in Pakistan, we have a much more industry related to the development stuff. We are doing the backend services more than operational services in front of the customer. So we lack in that area in some context, because we don't have good top multinationals in our country. So we have to look into this process, that people, process, and technology, because the countries where like Germany or China or other countries who are producing, they're leader in manufacturing, there they value more than technology towards the people and processes, because they cannot hire the new people just to adapt with technology. They want to use the technology to optimize their operational excellence, optimize the employees' experience, to save the time, to organizational work. That is another kind of picture that we have to understand. That in international spectrum, things are very different. Okay, so I'm going to jump into, where are you in your cloud journey? Let's say I just want to make sure that how you guys are using your raise hand is available in this or not? Just type in the chat, how many people are using cloud technologies, let's say, in your day-to-day work, or it's not about just doing internship, something like that. Since this might be, you can inform one or two people. So just want to understand that how your companies, your employers using the public cloud technologies today. Is there anyone who is working in cloud computing already?
So students are responding in the chat box.
Okay, and what about involving in the public cloud infrastructure, or let's say about your, leave your hands up if 100% of your IT involves in the cloud computing. So I would say 100% is nothing in our country. It's a continuous journey. So we have to look into that how we can transform our way and how we can move forward with that. Okay, so that is a big question, that big opportunities for the IT to lead, but how? What skill do I need? That's an important question. What is my cloud career path? Where do I start? And how do I learn? These are 4 burning questions. I give you guys my example. Back in 2014, my role, I was team lead for Microsoft Stack, and my teacher, he was team lead for network team, and he's working in Siemens in Canada now. So me and Rice, we having good friendship, teacher-student relationship, but we try to overlap each other, that he want to do Microsoft stack and I want to do Cisco, CCI, this stuff. But we worked together like 3 years, but we could not cross our path because due to the technology stack, because I need different skills, he need different skills. And what is my cloud career path? Because I focused more into cloud infrastructure and cybersecurity stacks. He's more into his networking, design, high availability, network security layers. Okay. So that's question you guys have to ask yourself, that what skills do I need? So I have a here opinion, might be you guys can disagree. Please, when you guys are writing your LinkedIn profile, if you are a student, just write on your profiles as a student. I saw most of our students, either boys or girls, they write it down. They are in the second or fourth semester, third semester, fifth semester, they write data scientist, AI expert. Now that's killing your personality, your path, okay? Because if you need to prove your skills, that's really hard. What skill I do need, okay? And where do I start? That is an important question. You need to really look at where you can start. If you want to go, first analyze yourself. You want to go into direction of coding or non-coding. First decide there. I work with HEC project and I know that in HEC, I was delivering trainings for the students and the staff, in each universities. So I had a good connection in universities. So in that time, I learned that 50% of our people, they don't like to do the coding, but they are treated as a minority in our universities. That is a real fact. Might be you guys can disagree with me. Who don't know the coding stuff, HTML, CSS, or C#, most of the people feel neglected. Don't be neglected. You guys can do a lot more like others who are doing the software engineering and building the softwares or machine learning, whatever they can do. So where do I start? The starting point is yourself. Ask yourself that what you want to do in the next 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. Plan it. Build your learning roadmap. How do I learn? Choose the mentor, consult with him or her, whatever possible for you, and build a roadmap and build a structured way for either you are doing the odd job. It's not a big problem, but build your roadmap, consult with the right mentor, and choose that and make a time frame that you have to achieve it in 6 months, this task, next 6 months, this task, next 6 months, this task. Then you can transform yourself in few years from X to Y or Y to Z. That's actually the big transformation that you can do only by yourself. No one can give you any magic stick. No one can give you anything, any charm. It's all about that if you are willing to do that. Okay. So where do I start? That is the third question or point in this. I would request all of you, don't be in everything. Our students, girls and boys from the different universities, I'm experiencing, every day the behavior. They are running behind every certificate. Don't do that, guys. Don't waste your time. Your time is more valuable than those certs. If you have a right direction, if you have a right focused, structured roadmap, start on that, work on that. Don't deviate. Otherwise, you cannot reach your destination. So try to impress yourself. Don't try to impress others. That's my point. Try to satisfy yourself. Be positive, passionate, and start what you like to do, what you can do by heart and mind. Sometimes people ask me that, Khalid, we find you really peaceful in your career path. I said, what I am doing, my passion and profession is totally aligned and I love it. That's it. When you love your profession, you can do everything. You can achieve everything. Then there is nothing impossible. But again, it's your consistency, passion, and positiveness. Don't worry about the fears. So again, point comes that the cloud basics you should embrace. Number one, change your mindset. Be embedded with the business. Try to understand the business norms as well. If you want to implement one technology into the company and you don't know about their business processes and you build a super duper website for them, they don't care. They don't care who to sell that. Try to solve the problems of the business. So first step is change your mindset, learn about the other side, the business, and learn the basics of the business, that how organizations working, what's their marketing departments do, what's their finance department do, how, let's say, I will tell the story at the end of this session that I went to one interview and how I get through that. I will share that later on. Number two, embrace the Linux and Windows. Come out of the mindset that Microsoft are, let's say, just taking the example that they're providing Word, Excel, PowerPoint only. Okay, that is a mindset in our society. So we have to change it. Learn it, Linux, Windows. Learn the command line tools, do the scripting, learn about Python, and try to automate your task. That you can do at the university level. Okay, no one can stop you from that. Set up your Linux environment. It's available in the Windows as well as the Linux subsystem. So you can play it with. Some people think that, okay, we have to learn the Linux, we need Linux servers. No, you don't need it. Try to learn the Python. Go to the Udacity, whatever platforms, try to learn the basic things and play it with. That could be your starting point. Get involved in the development cycle and use the continuous integration. If you're a developer or either IT pro, you have to learn about that, how applications being deployed, what kind of the code base used, what is the version control like GitHub, GitLab, Bitbucket, and how we can deliver that continuous CI/CD, something like that, because it's an era of DevOps processes. Spend the time working with cloud services, free resources. That's I do in my daily work. I'm spending 2 hours each day on my new learning and innovation paths. If you stop your learning, you are useless for industry. So listen others, try to go and find some free resources that interesting for you and move on with that, and try to listen and be innovate and be relevant with industry standards. Okay. And let's say skills you will need in the cloud roles. What kind of skills you need? If you want to work into the cloud, you need a soft skill set, business context. You need to understand that how this company, let's say, if I am working in one company, I want to talk with System Limited and Angro. And System Limited is different way of business, and Angro or Telenor is doing the different kind of business. They are the customer. System Limited is like a consulting provider. So we have to understand the competencies. Okay, business context, what kind of functions they do, communication, social skills, creativity, critical thinking. Don't just hang up, I cannot do this job. No, you have to think on that. And don't burn yourself. Don't be the one-man army, Entrepreneurship, that soft skills must be in your mind or in your personality, that you need to achieve that. Not 100%, but at least if you have 20 to 30%, that will help you to step into the cloud roles. And functional skills, you have to understand about your management skills, time management. I would not say go into the product management, that is just named here. You have to learn that how one project starts, how it goes into different phases. And if you like to learn that, you can go onto the YouTube and you can find the project management lifecycle management. There is different methodologies you can learn about that, and you have to understand that. Okay, how projects are working from 0 level to 10%, 20%, 40%, 100%, how it delivers, what could be the closing outcome. That you can learn in your study life. No one will stop you. And then you have to understand customer and technical support and vendor management, that if you have to work with Microsoft Stack or with Amazon, with Google, with Oracle, how to contact who could be the right person. You can ask these questions in your job roles directly to your line managers, your teammates. It's all about you. So you have to improve these soft skills. It's not about that you're just looking into your technical skills. In industry, if you want to be a successful architect, if you want to be a successful entrepreneur into tech industry, you need to have a different, diverse skills, technical skills and soft skills. If you lack this one, you are totally tech nerd only, who just know the technical stuff, is working from 9 to 5, and that's it, finish. Who will take care of your rest business part, you know? So companies cannot give you the posture to grow in your career because you are just doing the technical stuff, just like a labor work. If you're not adding the value, you're not communicating well, and if you're not thinking into the business level, into the customer-centric approach, critical thinking, they will not bring you up into the ranks, into the next responsibility levels. So you have to look into that. Definitely, it will not take a time. I would say if you want to learn these skills at basic level, it will take only 1 to 2 weeks, like in spending 2 hours each day, 2 hours each day, 1 hour, 2 hours, like that. It will give you that basic fundamental level knowledge in your minds, that how things works, if some problem comes, that how to do the divide and conquer and to analyze that and go into the deep dive and finish that task, let's say. The soft skills matters a lot, okay? So if you want to start the cloud roles, you don't need to be 100% architect, perfect in everything, no. Start with fundamental, associate level, consultant level, and then architect level, step by step. Some people think that they get a chance to work in 10 people company and company gives them the title as architect. In the 2 years, they become the architect. No, you are not architect. It's your start and it depends upon company size level, you know. So we have to look at this, okay. So in the technical skills, in general, that in cloud, we have a different kind of roles, role-based, let's say. Some are secondary skills also, infrastructure, privacy, DevOps, application management, data analytics, data management, and device management, you know. The people who don't like to work with coding, device management is also a very big topic in the organizations and the global companies, because they need someone who can do the scripting for them, who can manage their devices, operating system management, application management, that needs nothing code, like websites. In security is the same. So I go quickly a little bit. So let's say you have a system administration, how to transform from your skills into cloud world. Let's say if you are a system administrator, you have a different kind of skills, infrastructure, security, architecture, and DevOps, and you have a different soft skill and functional level skills, and you have to map it with your technical skills into the cloud role that you can perform, you know. Infrastructure, security, DevOps, architect, that is an old concept, but here something comes more, application management and device management, just as administration, because now people don't want to go at the office to get their device management done or application being pushed on their devices. They want to sit in their home and all the application, let's say you want to use Microsoft Project, or if you are using any Android application on your mobile devices or iOS devices, they get done directly over the internet, pushed to your devices. That's it. Okay, so that is actually the transformation of your technical roles. So let's say if you are thinking into the developer role, that counts the same, but there you need to look more into the infrastructure and infrastructure in the sense that where you will run your workloads, your web services, how you can connect with APIs, how you can connect your backend databases. Okay, that is actually transformation in general. So let's go quickly. And the technical skills in infrastructure, again, do the same things, but in the different ways with different tools. Like you are using infrastructure with as a code, you have to script it. You can use Terraform templates, Bicep by Azure, you know. And what is the value in a cloud? Scalable, reproducible, level of automation, less human errors, efficiency. That industry likes to transform it. Okay. Let's say if you are working with servers, let's say you have to open the port number 53 on 1,000 servers. How you do that? You go and take the session of that server machines of the web services to just open the port? No. You have to write the script, do the automation, and run it in your system. It will automatically go into the network and open that port. Done. That's it. That's a cloud automation that you can achieve using Python scripting with different infrastructure as a code languages. And security and privacy. In security and privacy, you have to look high-level security, standards, compliance. In security and privacy, I would say in governance, you really don't need development skills, especially. You need to look into the architecture, into the big picture, that who can access, where, when, how they can change, who make the policy changes. So again, there is some context of development, but more about the scripting. So you can be the champion of security if you like to do that in that direction. So yeah. In architecture, in architectural, it's an architect level. In architecture, you have to look into the existing infrastructure, and then you have to look into how you can transform, in how you can save the cost in Azure, in AWS, in Google, by lift and shift, by rehosting, by refactoring, with Kubernetes, with Azure SQL Server, whatever. You have to map it. Okay, we are doing in local infrastructure in this way, but we have to do it in cloud in this way. We can achieve the same goals, and there is no downtime, and we can save this cost. Done. That's it. That's architecture. That is, you have to think about that. And in the DevOps, not just a tool solutions, you need to change the way of thinking. It's a working process, you know. It's all about teamwork. You know, in DevOps, I will show you the pattern at the end. That's how it looks like. And application management, different tools used for deployment options. As I mentioned, you need a specific application, how being pushed on your devices. Let's say if developers develop code base and they want to push into the cloud, and then it hosted into the cloud, and then that application is being pushed to your devices, that all should be the automated way to develop application lifecycle management. And into the device management, as I mentioned again, and into database analytics, scale faster with different tool available. Okay, so do the big data without big data price tag on premise infrastructure. You know, big data and AI was not available 10 years ago. Why? Because on-premise infrastructure was so costly. Now cloud is making more flexible, time-based, just-in-time use. That's it. And here is a database management. You can use the different tool set, deployment options, and access to more capabilities at very fast pace, very cheaper rates, much scalability, better efficiency, better governance control over the data you can achieve. That is all about transformation of your skills towards your cloud journey, actually. So let me go into the last steps, that how you can become the Microsoft certified. It's just as an example. Microsoft, it's not about the Microsoft. It's about in general, I can explain on this slide. Because in this area, if we look into this, Azure, you can count on AWS, GCP is working the same functionality. In the digital workplace, Amazon don't have digital workplace. Google has the Google Workplace, let's say, workspace, whatever. I'm sure it's a Google workspace, something like that. So they use this one. And Dynamics, Oracle, SAP, other solutions available, Microsoft providing Dynamics 365. And in the same way, low-code application, Power Platform or ServiceNow, whatever, you can do the automation of your tasks. So this is actually, you need to really look at which track you want to go on, which way you want to build your skills, as I mentioned, where to start. If you feel that, okay, you don't want to go, let's say, into the cloud computing, or you don't have a coding skills, start with Microsoft 365. And if you think that, okay, Microsoft 365 productivity collaboration is not so interesting for me, I want to go into the cloud computing, but with less code, okay, go as an infrastructure consultant, cloud infrastructure. And if you think that I want to develop APIs, I want to develop web applications, websites, managing the databases, go as a web cloud developer. And there is an AI as well. You can use that. So it's all about you, that which role you want to achieve. So as for my skills, as I mentioned, that I am really looking into big picture. It's not just a smaller picture that I'm working on. I will just go quickly. Let's say this is data center technologies. I'm working with the clients, okay? Security Operations Center, information protection technologies, and then in different segments, let's say key vault, encryption, identity and access management, conditional access, and data protection. That spectrum I am mostly working on in the very big picture. So I would say you guys can achieve the same goals if you have a passion to work on. To be honest, I am not a developer. I don't like to write a single line of code. But again, it's again your passion, that how you drive, how you want to build your career path ahead. So that spectrum I am working on in different directions, in hybrid cloud infrastructure, client management, in information protection, identity and access management, and security operations centers. Yeah. And some people think that what is actually the DevOps? DevOps is a name of actually the culture, that you have to create the code, plan it, reproduction, verify it, then you have to release it. That is part for the ops, and this is actually dev. And overall, you have to look for the security. So how you can go into that? That would be the last step. People think that, oh, we don't have resources, we don't have this and that, blah, blah. Definitely, you can go and set up AWS free tier, Azure free tier, GCP free tier, whatever you like, you can play it with. Take it, my example. I set up yesterday my AWS free tier for my learning. You can do that. And Microsoft 365 E5 Dev program is free of cost for everyone. You can set up these services if you like to play with identity and access management, threat management, APIs, graph API. It's not about security, it's about productivity, it's about collaboration, it's about learning with threat management. You can play it with. Microsoft provides you the really free services you can go on. And then there is Microsoft Security Technical Content Library is also available, so you can go on and learn there. And if you think that, okay, that's not sufficient, because this could be the cloud playground for you, and this is Microsoft Learn platform, so you can go there. Microsoft map the roles according to your career, according to your interest, It's completely self-paced curriculum. You can choose that, which role you want to pursue. You want to be a BI analytics, you want to do development role, DevOps engineer, architect, security, whatever. You just try to do that.